question for Martin, actually. It's for the opening the O2, knowing that divers are impatient anyway, is there another solution to reducing the pressure in the system by opening the O2 MAV when you open the valve?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm just, you say to somebody, take a minute.
Take away the cushion, but their divers are quite tight, and whether they'll waste oxygen or not is another question.
I think they're probably more likely to open it and then, from that side. So that's just another way of
good idea.
skinning the cat.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is a question to Mr. Michael Menduno. Well, I bought and read avidly all the AquaCorp's magazines. I still got them as something precious. I have a curiosity that I think many Portuguese also have. We heard that the magazine was closed, was sabotaged after you publish an interview with the guy that make the West Navy tables. So it was a scandal to learn how they have done it in a very empiric way. Is it true or not? Maybe it's a myth.
That is not true, and I think there was another rumor that Brett Gillum put around that he had closed us down because we had gotten in a little tiff. But no, it basically closed because I ran out of money, and I couldn't get any more. I pitched. I actually even pitched AquaCorp to my friends at Patty, but they decided not to buy it. So, in the tech conference. But so we just a business thing. Yeah, business thing. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anton. My question for Martin Parker. Do you know about at least one case when a rebreather exploded because of the oxygen underwater? Thanks.
No, never.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Thank you.
It's an easy question to answer.
After the oxygen fire starts, my first reaction would be to jump overboard as well. I suppose the fear is that it will explode, at that time. So, are you better spending the time to throw it overboard or jumping?
There's no real explosion at that stage. It's in the case of first of all, let's go back to your jumping overboard bit. Obviously, if you've got the kit on your back, your best bet is to go over the side with it because it's the best way of putting it out. And you do need an emergency plan. In our ANSTI test machine, we have a routine that we practice that the whole lid gets closed if there is a fire. We never have, touching wood profusely. But the routine is to get it into the water as fast as possible, close the lid, shut off the oxygen supply. But in that case, then we would just leave because you can't get at it because the oxygen is the oxygen cylinder is in the machine, in the chamber as well. So you just got to literally just close the lid down. And so you have to have an emergency plan. So jump over the side. The second part of your question I've forgotten about already. Yeah, no, you won't. Yeah, the gas doesn't explode. The explosions happened with the vehicle because the whole lot. And the same with the boat. Fires, the explosions happen because of the heat affecting other things like other dive cylinders which were still closed. So that was a diluent cylinder that went through the side of the truck. In the case of the big fire on the boat, that was down to the fact that the petrol cans caught alight, and basically if there's an ignition and there's a lot of oxygen being supplied, high pressure oxygen, everything in its path is going to burn.
Just one, please ask all the questions that you want to ask, but use a mic. If not, it's not going to be recorded. So the other other divers that aren't here will not be able to understand the question, even if the answer is self-explanatory. But we are recording everything to share freely with the world after the show. So ask using the mic, please.
Hi guys, nice lecture, amazing lectures. My question is, how do we mitigate safety for the young generation? Like you said, most of us here in the room are old-timers with thousands of dive. Now the new generation of divers have 60 dive, tech instructor of 100 dive and so. And we see big gaps between the knowledge, the standards, and so many things are written over 50 years, but still out in the water, we see different results.
Do you want to go?
Why is everyone looking at me? The problem is that it's a huge topic, and there are so many moving parts. And so there's two options we can take. One, we can say it's too difficult a problem, that's just the way it's going to go. Or you can try and do a little bit. And that's sort of what I was trying to get at in my presentation. If we all do a little bit, then that adds up to a big bit. If we all go, yeah, I give up, this is too complicated. Acting as a role model, taking every opportunity to just bump things up a little bit here. Okay, I always get questions and a conversation the other night. Why don't we just do this? Well, that's impossible. But doing this is feasible. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be short. Checklist is a good example. We've been pushing that since Rebreather Forum 3. Yeah. Mouthpiece retaining straps. JJ just announced that they're using same as yours, isn't it? Your mouthpiece strap. And I saw someone said, "Oh, this is a new thing in the CE standard." No, it's not. 2014, that was in there, but it's trickling through now. So yeah, improving safety is a long-term process. The unfortunate thing is that Phil had a great advantage in his presentation. That's just cool. Safety, we've got to find a way of making safety cool.
Yeah. It's a question of leading it from the front, isn't it? If you're taking students in, you've got to be seen to be doing it exactly right. You've got to be seen to doing the checklists and make it cool to use a checklist rather than just use it for the course.
Right.
Yeah.
And other efforts are going on. I know with the Rebreather Forum, we're having a meeting at DEMA. We're calling it Rebreather Forum 4.1, but to discuss diving rebreather safety and data collection. We have such poor data, statistics, how many rebreather divers are there, how many hours, etc. And so one of the focuses of the meeting is to work with the manufacturers and training agencies so we can create systems and get data every year so we can really measure how we're doing, if we're improving and how much. And, we just all have to keep it in our awareness, be proactive. I'll give a shout out to Gareth and Human Factors. I mean, that's a big component of this, so certainly more education is useful too, so yeah.
Martin, question for you, right here, right in front of you. So I've never seen an oxygen fire. I would guess that a lot of people in the room here have never seen one. Could you maybe describe a little bit of what that looks like? Does your tank become a flamethrower, or what? Yeah, what does that actually look like?
I've never seen one either, but I did speak to Simon earlier, and he said he's seen 3. So
I guess I'll ask him.
Yeah. Buy him a drink in the bar, and he'll tell you the story.
All right, that's the secret trick.
Yeah, no, seriously, I've never. I mean, for sure, from what I'm told, it's the initial fireball that's the problem, and that just hits you and takes your skin off. And that's so the first thing often is you'll hear a hiss, whether it be the diaphragm in the first stage that goes, or whether it be the high pressure hose that goes. So you'll hear the hiss, and at that stage you've got to be shutting the valve down. If you leave it go, then it will ignite, and then you get that initial fireball, and you've got to be able to turn the gas off basically.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry, I know I've never experienced myself.
Well, it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
A quick safety question for the panel, and it's about how rebreather diving has changed over the last 20 years or so. In that, has the age of divers taking up rebreathers for the first time got older? And are people going deeper quicker without doing their apprenticeship on 30 to 40 meter wrecks like they've done maybe? Or is there any validity to that theory at all?
Do you want to do this one?
I think one of the challenges we have with the rebreathers is the cost means that if you're a teenager and you've got a low-paid job, you can't afford a rebreather. If you are a young person, so the cost means that it does orient towards the middle-aged person who's got a bit of disposable income. That is changing. They are coming down and they are getting more affordable. But I don't think it's necessarily got older, but I think rebreather divers have always been a little bit older. In terms of people going faster, I think it's a different problem. What we used to see is that you'd have very experienced technical divers who were doing 100, 120 meter dives and were deciding, I can't do this anymore in terms of helium costs, so I'm going to buy a rebreather. And then they would try and go through pretty quickly to get back to doing the dives they're doing. And there's stories of people doing 100-meter dives the next dive after they've done their course. So they've got the training, but they don't have the practice and the experience on the rebreather. But they had a lot of deep diving practice, and some of that is relevant. What you're getting over the last 20 years probably is that the point at which people come into rebreathers is changing. Rather than advanced trimix divers, now they're thinking, I'm not going to go to advanced trimix, I'm going to go straight to a rebreather from trimix level. Or now, I'm a deco procedures diver, do I go to trimix or do I go to a rebreather? So they're starting to come into it earlier in their tech diving career. So the positive of that is that they are building up that experience a little bit slower. The negative is they want to get there as quickly as possible. Now we're getting people that are recreational divers and are saying, well, do I buy a twin set or do I go straight to a rebreather? And we've got the 4 levels of course. Okay, you can come in at the second level if you're an experienced technical diver. If you're not a technical diver, you're going to come in at the first level. So do we say to people, you should get some tech diving experience on a twin set and then come in at the second level? Or do we say, skip the twin set, buy a rebreather, come in at the first level and build up your rebreather experience rather than the twin set experience before going on to the second level? So I think the market is evolving.
Right. I think I'm next in line. I'm Peter from X-Ray Dive Magazine. Which,
there you are.
Yeah, you do. I have more of a comment rather than a question, and I want to second you, Mark, about your presentation and knowledge about retention of knowledge, or rather how it just peters out over time. It has been now 23 years since I took my first rebreather course, incidentally on one of Martin's yellow boxes. But my next course is going back to basics. I'm just taking a refresher course, starting all over at square one, for 2 main reasons. One is I realize, thanks to this wisdom that you're sharing, that my own knowledge, my expertise, me being in practice is just watering out all the time. So I need to go back and just hammer it in all over from the beginning. And there's no shame in that, because I'd rather be safe than sorry. The other thing I realized that since I was first trained, a lot of new knowledge has come about. Yeah. What I was taught back then, I could go back to visit my old manuals with yellow pages, but I also realized that knowledge training standards had come a long way. So for those 2 main reasons, I am indeed going back, climbing up the ladder right from the beginning all over. And I'm actually looking forward to it, because second time, third time, fourth time, I go over stuff, I remember still more, and I may understand something on a deeper level next time I visit it. So that was all I had to add. So thank you for your presentations.
Thank you, Peter.